All right, guys, we're back on here. We're getting the Jeep finished up here. We got our RCVs laid out. About to start putting them in there. We're gonna get that oil pan patched up when we get this front end apart and get it jacked up. We'll get some light on that, but I don't know exactly how we're gonna do that yet. Let Jonathan over there weld it up or something. But we got our cooling hoses ran down the middle. We got them tied in here. Just drilled holes there in the firewall. I don't know if we're gonna probably try to do something so they don't get cut. We still got to patch the hole where we pulled the heater out and stuff. Got our seats in. Floor over here was pretty rusted out, and the bolt and stuff is gone, so we just took some plate, attached it to the two cage points there, and then we made some new tab here off of that so we can attach our seat down and drill a hole so it shouldn't go anywhere. Got our battery mounted there with the old trusty ratchet strap. I'm sure somebody will talk crap about that, but she'll hang too. It'd be alright. Got a cage painted out, everything on that's done. Seats are in, harnesses are in, radiator's in, it's done, water's in it. Actually, funny story, we backed it out, put water in it, and the longer it sit there running, it started knocking louder and louder and louder. Well, we was like, what the heck's going on? So we figured we hurt the motor at the last race. Last race that we did when we was riding with Dex and them, but come to find out, pulled dipstick out, and where the hole in the oil pan, it pumped all the oil out of it, so it didn't have no oil and started knocking. But we put some 1540 back in there, some cheap stuff we had, and it seems to be all right. So hopefully that'll stay together and we didn't hurt the motor too bad. Yeah, it'd be all right. We got the fan in. I'm sure y'all love our spacers and our bar welded there. I don't think it'll go anywhere. Jonathan's lovely wiring job here. You got our self-tapered in there, fuel neck, but we're gonna attempt to get these back doors on it here after a while and get the front end tore apart, get some RCVs in it. I'm sure we'll show y'all that because we ain't never done this before, so I'm sure it's gonna be an adventure, but we'll figure it out. We had to run stock hose there and then adapt it with a barb coupling to that thick hose we have because it didn't want to make that 90. Done the same thing up here. We got our fan off, and but other than that, we're good to go. We have to get something made up here and get our light bar mounted, but start getting these RCVs in and finishing up the rest. Yeah. All right, we got the front end tore apart. Got all the stock shafts out, hubs off. Pulled the steering out of the way. You can probably see up in there the light with a freaking jet. There you go. There's a big hole in the oil pan. We're going to do something to that here in a minute. But I just want to show you where these stock hubs, the RCV won't fit off in there. It's in this piece here with it. And you just got to grind out the butthole until it sits flush. I'm sure you could do a lot better looking job than what I've done here, but hey, it'll work and you'll never know it. We'll coat her with some anti-rust, probably oil and dirt, and should be good to go. Up and going. Let's go for a test run. Well, we come out here trying out this piece of junk, and everything worked good. We got to make us a reservoir overflow. It squirted on that door and got on my back once, but it wasn't hot or anything. And see, we got the wheels changed stuff. RCVs did good. Everything done good, but that little knocking issue we had, it's gotten worse and worse. So I don't know if it hurt the motor from when I got it hot, or if it hurt the motor when we didn't have oil in it the other day. So I guess we're gonna run it back to the house, and pull the pan off of it. This Jeep don't have a oil pressure gauge, it just has a dummy gauge, so I can't really tell. So I might put an oil pressure gauge on it first and see what kind of pressure we got. But you can see, well, you can't see it good, but I welded the pan up and it's still leaking. I think because it broke one of them bolts off there. And you can see it's leaking all over. The water pump's leaking. And then also where I drilled the bolt here to move the front end over to get that mount away from the oil pan, and it now the steering don't want to turn all the way to the right, so we need to adjust that. But we put the steel wheels on it, like I said, just so we ain't got to worry about busting aluminum wheels or rolling them off as bad. And but everything seems to be doing good. We played on one hill. Well, we got on one hill and got up it. Me and Jonathan did. He brought his razor out, and that's when we noticed it started knocking, and it just kept getting louder and louder. We tried to ride more, but it just ain't gonna work out. So I'm gonna take it back to the shop and drop the pan off of it. We'll probably put an oil pressure gauge on it, see if we got any oil pressure, and then if it ain't, then we'll drop the pan and see if it knocked the oil pump off of it. And if it does get oil pressure, well, I guess we'll still drop the pan and see if it's a rod bearing, main bearing or something, or if it's a cracked piston. So, but we'll get back to the house and get her unloaded and start training it apart. I'll keep y'all updated and we'll see where this goes. So we got an oil pressure gauge put on it, started up as it was coming off the trailer, and it was holding 30, and the gas on it held up to 50, but it was still knocking pretty bad. Well, you can see here we got the oil pan off of it, and number 6 bearing, I don't know if you can see that in the light, but number 6, it knocked the tits off of it and it's rolled it around the crank. It didn't really spin it and stack it, but it grooved the crank a little bit. You can see right there, hanging fingernail on it. So, but we're hoping it ain't too bad. It had a bunch of copper and stuff in the oil pan, so I'll insert a picture of that here. And all the other ones seem to be fine. Took the hammer and went across them, and they tapped them lightly. They don't seem to be hollow or anything. They seem to be fine. So we're gonna probably pull 5 off and check it, and maybe pull 4. We went and bought 3 new bearings, so we're gonna roll bearings in this thing and see how long it'll last. Use it scientific purposes. I'm sure we're not doing it like most people would or how we're supposed to, but we're gonna figure it out. We got a broke bolt up there in the oil pan where it messed it up last time, so we're gonna try to get that bolt out so we can bolt the oil pan back on and it won't leak right there, and just go through and check stuff out, put a new bearing in it, and see where to go from there. Jonathan and Ashton are over there cleaning the oil pan up right now. I'm about to clean up this crank a little bit, see if I can get an emery cloth on it and get it high spots knocked down, and roll the bearing in there, torque it down, and fill it full of oil and take her to $6,000 and see what happens. Well, alright then. Well, we got her back together. Here's the bearings that were in it. You can see they were pretty. We ended up just go ahead and changing all 6 of them after we got to looking at. That was number 6 there that spun. It knocked everything off of it, spun them bearings. But we got to pressure wash all this oil out. But I don't know if we can see it up in here, but I was trying to be cheap and use the old oil pan gasket back, and it broke, and we tried to silicone it, but it's pouring oil out, so we're gonna have to fix that, put a new oil pan gasket on it. But other than that, the motor sounds good now, holding 30 pounds of oil pressure. It's holding 30 pounds, idling, so I like it. And then it'll get up around 50 when you idle it up. I know we're gonna have to put a bigger fan on it or something, do something about the shroud, because it's got that gap where it'll hit down in the center where it's so thick, but I don't think it was pulling enough air through it. We don't have the temperature gauge hooked up, so I'm gonna get stuff and we'll get that thing hooked up this week. But yeah, I think get our temperature gauge hooked up, and we'll be ready to go test it out somewhere. I don't know when we're gonna go ride and test it out, but next video we'll probably be working on Jonathan's green Jeep. I need to get some progress done on it, and we got to get the convertible back running. Fuel pump went out on it or something again. It ain't got 10 miles on a fuel pump, so I don't know if we just got a bad fuel pump or the filter's bad in it and it's sucking trash up in the fuel pump or what, but we'll get her figured out. And yeah, there she is. Got lazy over there, kicked up in a chair, doing nothing, but it's all good to go. And y'all drop in the comments how long y'all think them rod bearings will last, and we'll see how she goes.